Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first ever episode of the Golden Attitude Era podcast. On this podcast, we'll be discussing everything and anything from the Golden Era and Attitude Era of wrestling and much more. We have a three-man booth in the Golden Attitude Era podcast. I am Kyle, or better known as KVT, your $1,000 champion. And I'm joined by Corey, the Fassman, and stunning Stevie Scales. These two have a wealth of wrestling knowledge and love to talk about anything wrestling, so this should be a fun ride for all involved. And with that, I'm going to throw it over to the Fast Man for today in wrestling history.
Thank you there, KVT, $1,000 champion. Appreciate the intro. As the champ just said, I'm the Fast Man. You'll learn more about how I got that name on future episodes in the upcoming weeks, Wrestling Nation. So, as KVT said, we're going to do a quick little segment on this day in wrestling history, with today being April 20th. I went through and found a couple of very popular type of dates that deal with that. One was on this date in 1997. There was a pay-per-view, an old school pay-per-view called In Your House. I know old school wrestling fans will remember those 2-hour pay-per-views. That were 1999.
It should be
that you'd beg your parents to get you for with your allowance. This one was in Rochester, New York, my hometown, KVT's old hometown. This one main evented with The Undertaker defeating Mankind to continue their hardcore rivalry. This is when, if people remember, this is when Paul Bearer at SummerSlam the year before had turned on the Undertaker blanking on the full name of the match, but he turned on the Undertaker.
Boiler Room Brawl.
The Boiler Room Brawl. Thank you,
that was a
Steve.
classic.
Yeah. No, I was just blanking. I forgot the name. I remember the match very well. It was at it was in New Jersey. I remember that part. And he turned on him and hit him in the head with the urn, aligning himself with Mankind. This was the match where Paul Bearer had a fireball shot in his face by The Undertaker.
I forgot about that.
When The Undertaker got his revenge on Paul Bearer.
Well done one, too. You see a lot of those that go wrong.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, yeah. And The Undertaker, that was, and then you saw Vince and JR and Jerry Lawler thinking something went definitely wrong in that match.
Yeah.
Yep. And that pay-per-view also continued the rivalry with Steve Austin beating Bret Hart by DQ at that pay-per-view. It also included Jesse James beating Rockabilly, who then became, who did he become, Kyle?
Who are we talking about?
Rockabilly. Who did Rockabilly become? The
Ass Man.
Yep, there you go. Very good.
Hey, real quick, so you said that Austin lost to Bret Hart?
No, he beat Bret Hart.
He beat him.
He beat
He
Bret
beat him
Hart.
by DQ.
Yeah.
Was this around the time where him, Sid, Vader, and all of them were going for the title, and they kept having all those weird endings on Raw and stuff?
Yeah, I think this was the year where it started at the Rumble at when Austin tossed Bret Hart. Where Bret Hart tossed Austin out, but the refs didn't see it, and Austin came back in and threw him out to win the match.
Okay, just wanted to make sure. Cool. Okay.
Yep. And then there were some matches I didn't even realize I forgot were even on that pay-per-view, where Savio Vega beat Rocky Maivia by DQ by countout. Rocky Maivia was the Intercontinental Champ at the time, but he beat him by countout. And LOD beat Owen Hart and the British Bulldog, who were the tag champs, by DQ as well.
Wow, a lot of DQ finishes.
I know. What is that about?
Well, you ought to remember there were only 5 matches on the pay-per-view because there was a 2-hour show.
Right.
So, did you guys also know that there were a couple of dark matches on that?
What were they? I don't remember. I don't
Triple
remember.
H beating Goldust.
Oh.
Wow.
And here's a tag team that I don't think you guys would have remembered. Doug
The
Furnas.
New Rockers? The New Rockers?
Nope, not the Rockers.
Wow.
No, not the Rockers. Doug Furnas and Phil
LaFon.
LaFon
Oh, yeah.
beat Henry O. Godwin and Phineas Godwin.
Nice.
Did the first tag team have a name? Because those names, like the individual people.
LaFon and Furnace?
It was just Furnace and LaFon.
Okay.
Man. They were
Furnace and LaFon,
They were so good. They were like
I remember
sick,
them. I
sick
remember them.
technicians. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a tag team that I definitely forgot about.
Yeah.
So that's what happened on this date. What's
So
up, Jeff?
how about this? Savio Vega, how much of an underrated person is he?
Very
Oh,
underrated.
very.
That dude was awesome. I don't feel like he ever got like a recognition.
No.
And the fact that Triple H and you say Gold Dust
Gold Dust. It was a dark match.
Dark match.
And who was
Great
the
dark
other
match.
one? Who was the other one that they say, Steve? That was the that was like on the show.
The
Rockabilly and who?
Rockabilly and the Road Dogs.
Rockabilly
Yeah.
and Jesse James.
The future New Age Outlaws. Yeah.
Like and you get those two. That's kind of true. That's funny.
Yeah, you would think that type of a match would be a dark match, but
Yeah.
but yeah, that's what happened in Rochester, New York on this date in 1997 in your house 14. I think it was called The Undertaker's Revenge or something like that.
Yeah.
24
years ago. That's crazy.
Yeah,
That was
24 years ago tonight. Yep.
Wow.
Was that Blue Cross
It was
Arena?
at the Blue Cross Arena. Yes, sir.
Then known as the War Memorial.
Yep, the War Memorial. I think it's still called the War Memorial to this day. And the Blue Cross.
It's Blue Cross.
Well, depends on who you ask.
Either way.
But here's a better one for you. And then we'll go right into our main event for the night. On this night, 23 years ago, what do you remember about WCW on Monday Nitro that night?
April 20th, 98.
23 years ago would be what year?
98.
April of 98. It was before.
Did Sting become the Crow Sting? Like drop out?
No, that would have been way before that.
Nope, that was probably later.
Yeah, that was way before because Starrcade '97 was Crow Sting. So this is after that.
Was it?
Yeah,
Okay.
Sting
So
was
Brett-
not on this Monday Nitro. He was not on the show unless he did some like promo or something.
Nothing's sticking out in my head of what would have happened.
Well, the streak continued.
Okay, who did he beat?
Goldberg.
Yep.
Goldberg beat Raven for the IC strap.
U.S. title.
Sorry, I have Rocky Maivia on the brain. For the U.S. title.
Wow. Yep, I remember that.
Raven's awesome.
Yeah,
Yep.
Raven was good.
What do you think the main event was that night?
Hogan, Big
was
Show, driving monster trucks.
No, that was Halloween Havoc. I remember that.
That
you're thinking of Halloween Havoc and the Yeti.
Yeah.
Nope, Hogan was in the main event. Shocker. He beat Savage for the heavyweight title.
Wow. Okay.
Yep.
So this might have been
and these are some of the
NWO.
names that we remember from that
as
show.
one of my favorites says, Hogan must pose.
That's right.
I love it when you do that.
Look
Hogan
at
must
him.
pose.
Look at him.
Yep.
Look at him.
So this is fascinating. These are some of the names that we saw in that show. We had Conan. We had Jericho.
Nice.
Juventud Guerrera. Very
Hall of
underrated
Famer.
in my opinion.
Hoovy Juice.
Hall of Famer, right?
Hoovy?
Not a Hall of Famer. Not yet.
Who just went in?
Juice and Thunder Liger. Is that who you're thinking?
Yes,
Yeah,
that's the
Liger.
guy.
Yep, Liger. You had
I remember
Goldberg
him
and
from
Raven.
WCW.
You had the Ultimo Dragon, La Parka.
Didn't he
Benoit
just
beat
die recently?
Hennig by
nice.
DQ.
Wow, Benoit versus Kurt Hennig. What a match that
Went
probably
there
was.
already, huh? Went there already.
It happened.
Yeah, I had to do it. Sorry, Vince.
Just get it out. Just
Yep.
rip
Perry
it off.
Saturn was on that show.
Nice.
Buff the Stuff and Scotty Steiner, Booker T, and Luger, along with Hogan and Savage.
Wow.
Now that's a roster for you right there.
That's a
If
good.
only Eric Bischoff didn't get too greedy with it.
Yeah.
It sounds terrible, to be honest with you.
No way.
That's like a roster you'd see in WWF
No
back
way.
in the mid-90s.
That's my problem. It sounds terrible. It sounds recycled. I don't need none of that.
Yeah, I remember the. So I'm pretty sure that was Goldberg's first title of any kind, right? And I remember that match because that was like Raven's Flock was like the big deal, right?
Yeah.
That was other than the NWO, obviously, that was a pretty big stable at the time.
And then it was 2 months later that J.J. Dillon went on Thunder on a Thursday night and announced to Shivani that Goldberg on Nitro was going to be getting the shot against Hogan right after the, I think the Monday after the 4th of July.
Yep. But yeah, so that the Ravens
at the Georgia Dome.
The Ravens flock, if you remember in that, I don't know if either you remember that match, but they all, like, Raven was down and maybe the referee was probably down, but the flock got in the ring. And
it became a hardcore match, right?
Saturday, yeah, with Ravens rules. Yeah, Ravens rules.
And they had like
who was in the flock?
Was there not a grocery cart at ringside?
Probably.
Okay, so I do remember that, and handcuffs were involved at some point.
Probably.
And a stop sign.
A bowling ball, maybe.
The Raven. Who did you like more, Raven or Johnny Polo?
Oh, Raven. Johnny Polo was a geek.
He's hilarious.
Yeah.
Johnny Polo was somebody that would have been in the Mean Street Posse and with Shane McMahon.
That would have been a good fit for him. So WCW was another good faction, because I heard you mention a couple of factions a moment ago. I was always a big fan of Lance Storm, and I can't think of it right now. Lance Storm's Canadian posse group.
Where he turned the U.S. title, the Canadian.
They kind of took over everything.
Yeah, Canadian rules.
Who was the guy that got the cruiserweight title? Man, he was good for that crew. The small.
Was it? Oh shit!
I don't know why, but my brain's already going to Chavo, but I know it's not Chavo.
It wasn't. I can't think of it. This is something that we can come up with later in the show.
Yeah,
but
I can picture who you're talking about. I can't think of his name.
I want to call him K Quick, but that was R-Truth before. Before he came R-Truth.
Yeah, not K Quick.
It was something.
Ron Killings?
He wasn't getting rowdy.
No. Come on. Yeah, that was great. I love that. That was good. All right. Well, Corey.
So that Wrestling Nation is this week's episode of this day in wrestling history. I will now hand it back off to the $500 champion. He's getting
$500. I didn't even do it.
He just lost $500 on
Stock's
this.
Going down.
On this.
Stock's going down.
Yep. So he has a shot he'll have a chance to get that back up. But I'm going to hand it back off to the champ, who's going to lead us into our discussion for the main discussion for the evening.
All right, everybody. So thank you, Corey. That was fun.
Nice.
You're welcome. Back and always looking back in your childhood and kind of seeing what was going on.
Absolutely.
You forget, like, oh shoot, and then like oh no way, what was I doing? It makes you think about all that type of stuff. So that was cool. We'll probably keep that going next week.
Yeah,
or next episode, I should say. But me, Corey, and me, the Fassman, as he likes to go by. And again, we will have to get a little segment in on how that name came up. That was a good
story. It's a good story there, Wrestling Nation. You'll like it.
Me, Fassman, and Scales, we kind of were talking about how we wanted to.
That's stunning Scales to you.
Yeah, get it right.
Sorry. Stunning Stevie Scales.
Yeah, that's right.
We were all kind of talking and discussing about what we wanted to do for our first episode and how we think we should start off. And we kind of just were like, well, they don't know who we are, which is just three random bums from off the street corner. So, like, why should they care? And why?
Who are you calling a bum? I come from Pittsburgh, New York. I come from royalty.
Who or what do we like, and why do we get into wrestling? So we figured we'd go to what kind of talking about what got us into wrestling, what kind of keeps us in wrestling. So Steve, if you wanted to start off this and just kind of tell us a little bit about your wrestling past, since the Fassman kind of ran with a little way back when. You
sure.
Do your little short version of that as well, please.
Sure. So I'm originally from West Haven, Connecticut. So a stone's throw from WWE headquarters over there in Stamford. Used to drive by it fairly frequently, visiting family and whatnot. But grew up a huge WWF fan. My brother was a fan growing up, and I think if I try to remember back to when I was like 4 or 5 years old, it's tough to recall those memories, but him being a fan, I'm pretty sure he got me into it. And our dad was into it because he liked it as a kid, and as did his dad. My grandfather was a fan. So it kind of carried on through generations. Grew grew up in the late 80s, early 90s was when I started becoming a big fan. Went to a ton of shows at the New Haven Coliseum, Hartford Civic Center, and then later, Bridgeport.
I remember the Hartford Civic Center.
Oh yeah, yeah, right in the middle of Hartford there. So went to a lot of shows growing up, a lot of house shows, a lot of early Monday Night Raws. Once they got out of the Manhattan Center, there was always once or twice a year in New Haven. That was one of their big hubs when they would come back home, so to say. They'd always stop in New Haven. So very fond memories of that growing up. I just the attraction of pro wrestling to me was always basically live action superheroes. I was never a huge comic book guy. I've kind of gotten into comic book later in life, but that was never my thing as a kid. To me, it was always pro wrestling. Maybe it was the realism of it. These were actually real people you could see do their thing in the ring, and with the entrance music and the wrestling attire, it's like a cartoon come to life. It was always like just so cool. And at that time, late 80s, early 90s was, that's right in the middle of the golden era, right? I mean, you got Hogan at the top and Savage and Warrior and all those guys. Just a great time as a kid to grow up and become a fan, and I'm grateful for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wouldn't want to be a kid nowadays. It's
tough,
growing up,
right?
yeah, it's a lot different, right? Growing up as a WWE fan, probably being 5 or 6 years old right now, it's not the same.
No,
it's probably good for. They probably think it's awesome because they don't know any different, but not the same as when it was, when we were younger. So that's basically.
It doesn't have that like same passion behind it.
No,
that's what I feel like.
Yeah, it's just and we'll dive into that, I'm sure, today and later. It's just a different feel. Today's it's a different company. It's a little bit, everything's different nowadays than it was back then. But like I said, I'm grateful for that time that I grew up as being a fan. And I thank my brother and my dad for getting me into it. And obviously I had friends that were into it, so we'd always get together and watch pay-per-views. I was lucky enough to we had one of those black cheater boxes, so we were able to get the pay-per-views. It wasn't probably until, like, I remember the first one we got, I think, was like WrestleMania 9, so 93 is when maybe we got it around then.
From Caesar's Palace.
Live from Caesar's Palace. Yeah.
That was one of my I love that. I don't know what it is about it, but I love that for some reason.
Oh, it's classic.
That WrestleMania is great.
So good.
Who debuted on that pay-per-view?
Keenan coming out backwards on the
on the Campbell.
Yeah, Jim Ross making his debut.
There you go. That's the answer I was looking for.
Don't try to stump me, Fassman.
Yeah.
I tried.
I'm the 750 champ, bro.
Oh, he's gained 250.
Now you go up to 650. You haven't got to the 7 number yet.
Anyway, Steve.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this: like, when you were like growing up, right? Like, what type of shows were you watching? Like, what was your go-to program?
Yep. So like right behind. So the reason I chose the background behind me, and it's not, it's maybe the later version of Superstars. There was a different one that had it was a giant. It was like, I don't know, 10 or 12 monitors by like
digital
Superstars.
Boom.
Yeah, Superstars, but it's different from this one, I guess, because it had that big monitor. But that's a vivid memory growing up. Saturday mornings, I think it was like 9 or 10 o'clock, if I remember. 10 o'clock, yeah, hour-long show. You get superstars beating on jobbers, local jobbers, and then you'd have some vignette segments and maybe some promos and whatnot. But I always look forward to that. That was probably early 90s for me. And then obviously when Monday Night Raw started in 93, I was 8 years old. So I've, fond memories of that. I always used to, beg my parents to stay up late. I was lucky enough to have a TV in my bedroom as a kid. So I got to convince my dad probably wasn't a fan, but I could convince my mom to leave the TV on so I could, watch that in bed and pretend to fall asleep or be watching that.
And they probably say, leave the volume off.
Yeah, exactly. Turn the volume down. But yeah, definitely Superstars and Raw. And then as a kid, Livewire I loved Livewire when they debuted that.
Sunday,
Livewire.
Todd
That was
Pettengill.
Sundays.
Who was the female co-host?
What the hell was her name? Stephanie.
Sunny was one.
Stephanie something.
Nope.
No. What was her name?
Marissa. Shane's wife.
Marissa Mazzola. Yeah, she was the host for a while. There was another one.
Well done. I didn't think you would get the original name.
Yeah, yeah.
Well done.
Marissa Mazzola McMahon. What is that? Her real maiden name? I don't know.
Yeah, Mazzola.
Yeah. Yeah, but
I don't know that
Todd Pettengill was so good, man. And those
dude,
you're back to 500.
Yeah,
dude, that mullet that he had at WrestleMania 9, dude, classic.
So good.
The best mullet I've seen in a long time.
Yeah.
So Corey,
yeah,
like, I gotta say, like, I'm like with Steve as well. Like, you got a little bit more miles on the tires, let's say, than we do. So like me and Steve, like I remember Steve. So like I'm even young. I'm the youngest one out of the group, right? So like I remember like for Superstars, it was Saturday morning at 10 o'clock, and I was maybe 6, 7 years old. I was at like a local bowling alley, Roseland Bowl, shout out. And
Canandaigua 5 and 20.
And I would be like, I remember I would like my league was at like 9 o'clock in the morning, take like 45 minutes to bowl. My brother's was right after. So I would go in like the little snack room or whatever, get a donut and orange juice or milk or something, and get put down right in the middle of it and just watch the TV for an hour. And it was like so cool because it was just like an extension of just like you were saying, like a high that I'm already on from just getting done bowling, you know what I mean?
Yep.
I'm sitting down at an awesome place, watching wrestling. And then when Monday Night Raw came on, it was just something else, you know what I mean? It was like something that at night now that I can do before I go to bed. It was just something cool. And it was at a time like that, not like today, where it was so hard to find. Now, I say that because Corey, when you were growing up, you didn't have a lot. You had like Saturday Night Main Event, really, right? That was like the only thing that you were.
The ones that we had Superstars.
When did Superstars start? 92?
No,
I started watching wrestling and going to shows when I was about 9 or 10. So I started really watching it in about 1990, 1991. So about WrestleMania 7 and WrestleMania 7 and 8.
Okay.
That was the beginning for me.
So you were watching the same type of show. So it might have been that we were just all watching the same shows. And I was like 6.
But I'll go into more on that when I give my story.
That's what I was asking for. I was just trying to like link that together while we were talking about it. But yeah, what did you want to share about that?
Well, I don't know if the stunning one has anything left that he wants to.
So it's just a couple other things. I brought a couple props. I got a couple of props with me.
Let's see it.
So as a kid growing up, I was a huge fan of the WWF Hasbro figures. So
I had that. I had
the
finger off as a kid.
Yeah, no. So this one isn't the original one that I owned. I found this at like a flea market down here. So I've started collecting. My daughter Rosie has some wrestling figures, mainly all female superstars, but she has a few of the guys. And this is one that I found at a flea market. And I was like, oh man, I had this as a kid. She needs to have this. So I got this for her. But I had this one as a kid. I had a ton of them, and I wish I still did. At some point, I got rid of them. Sold them in a yard sale. I don't know where they went, but they're gone. But I had a ton of them.
Steve, real quick, I had a Ted DiBiase one when he was in the all green suit.
The fist.
Yeah, the all green suits. And I have a quick little flea market story too. So one of the first things that ever got me into wrestling was I went down to Orlando, Florida to visit my nana who lived there at the time. And there's a local flea market like 2 miles away. And we would go this every time. And I'm probably 5, right?
Yep.
So we go down there. And this is like when I first got introduced to wrestling. And they got, what was it? Corey, you always correct me on this. So it was the Royal Rumble that Hogan won, where it was Dino Bravo, Earthquake, and the Nasty Boys, I think, against him.
90.
And he came back. Was it 90?
It was either 90 or it was the one which led him to beat. It was the Rumble where Slaughter beat the Warrior
90
with the help of the Macho King.
Right.
So it would have been
91.
91.
Okay, so that
WrestleMania 7.
So that Royal Rumble was like the first time I ever watched, like, it's like got to sit down no interruptions, no nothing, and just
Hold on, did you guys just get a pop-up?
Yeah, so it says,
Okay.
looks like we've been gifted a gift from Zoom. We've removed the 40-minute time limit on your group meetings.
One to unlimited. Outstanding. Let's continue.
Yeah.
Good to go.
cool. So yeah, like what I was saying is
that'll be edited out.
It was right. It was so Corey, you said it was WrestleMania
91, so 07.
Royal Rumble 91. That was like the first time where I got to actually sit down, watch a whole show, start to finish, no interruptions. Because you know why? No, not live. It was like I bought the VHS from the flea market.
I remember this.
When I was down in Florida. So I put it in, and my parents were down on vacation, obviously, in Florida. So they didn't want to really, they wanted to have a couple drinks with their mother and their mother-in-law and all the people, all the families. So what do? They give me this VHS. They plop me down in front of it.
Nice.
I've been hooked ever since. Like, wow. and it's just like, I remember Gorilla Monsoon on the call, like, and another Rochester guy. I found that out obviously much, much later. Yeah. But like all the iconic people that you could possibly want.
Rest in peace, Monkey Man.
It was just perfect. So as soon as you said flea market, that popped in. Yeah, I didn't mean to jump in.
No,
I know you got another thing that you wanted to.
Yeah, I got two more props. So obviously the Hasbro figures were what I grew up with, but I also had some of these, and these also are not mine that I had as a kid, but a buddy of mine. They had Miss Elizabeth too here. These were the LJN figures, they're called. They're a lot bigger than the Hasbros, and they're like made out of rubber. They're really firm.
They're kind of like the stretch Armstrong type.
Yeah, but they don't stretch. I mean, they're they're heavy duty. But I had maybe my brother probably owned them because I remember playing with them, but they weren't mine. So he probably had a bunch of these growing up. But nowadays I have the Hogan and the Macho Man, and
that's sick.
Yeah, and then the last thing I have, I guess I know that we're in the toys.
Yup. Tell me I saw that. Yup.
So as a kid, these are also not the same ones I had as a kid. I've tried to, all the ones I had as a kid, God knows what happened to them. So I had to rebuy these things. But anyway, a buddy of mine, these were his growing up, and he was like, I got to get rid of these things. My wife won't let me have them anymore. Do you want to buy them? It's like, yes. So
she must be shaking her head at you. It's like, what are you doing?
My buddy Pess, who I've known for about 20 years now, he sold these to me. Growing up, I had the Hogan and my brother had the Warrior, but the Macho Man I never had. So I was super pumped to get the Macho King pillow fighter. And Rosie, Rosie obviously loves. We have wrestling matches with these guys
all the time, man.
Yeah.
All the time. I remember
good memories.
I remember building stuff, jumping off the top of them, elbow dropping them. Yeah, dude, that was good.
Nice.
Those are cool. Those are really cool. I gotta see this belt. I just got this the other day during WrestleMania, and I literally just got it just because like I was like 40% off. Let me take a look. Like I gotta like look into just. I'm not gonna go crazy, but just if I can find something like that, just some type of like I used to have the Hogan bandana.
Oh, nice.
I don't know what happened to that. But
yeah.
Anyways,
our parents probably threw it out. They're like, "This is junk."
Yeah, I think it was me mostly messing my toys up. You know what I mean? Just being like reckless, not realizing like you may want this.
You're probably right. Let's hear some of Corey.
Nobody.
Fassman.
This is the quietest. Steve. This is the quietest we've ever heard Corey. He's got some. I bet he's got something good up his sleeve.
Yeah, he's got.
Look at that smile.
Yeah.
looking like a Paul Heyman wannabe over there.
I'm just an advocate. Yep.
All right, cool. We've got Fassman.
Good memories there, Stunning Steve.
Thanks.
Well done there, sir.
Thank you.
So to piggyback off of the Stunning one here, I got into wrestling. Well, not physically into wrestling. Excuse me. Let me phrase that. With my height, it wouldn't have gone far. My weight, maybe, but not my height. I'd say it was the year 1990 or 91. I was 9 or 10 years old, and my neighbor had gotten tickets to this wrestling, a house show type of show, WWF, at the Springfield Civic Center.
Where's Springfield?
Massachusetts.
Yeah.
Massachusetts. Sorry, I should mention I used to live in Massachusetts. And I remember, I wish I could find the card, but I remember on the internet somewhere. I'm sure I could probably find it. But I remember the main event of the night was Hogan versus Flair. I don't think it was for the title or anything. I don't know. Remember, I was 9 or 10 years old at the time, so this is going back 30 years.
Yeah.
So,
And you're old.
and I'm old. I'm the oldest one in the room. Correct. Thanks. You just went down to 250 as a champion there.
Man, I'm at least 1250.
You're gonna be selling that belt. You're gonna be selling that belt by the end of the show.
I apologize.
So
back to being 9 and 10 in Stanford.
Yeah. So I remember going to the show, and we all remember Hogan as he'd come out, he'd pose, and he'd go and rip his shirt. Yep, as I see Hogan behind the champ there. So I remember the first thing that I thought was like, I didn't realize that wrestlers get different shirts and stuff for every match. So I started thinking, what is he going to do for his next show? Because he ripped the shirt and threw it into the crowd and all that. So I remember the show. It was a fun show. We got like foam fingers, and it was a great time. So that's what introduced me to wrestling. I remember watching Superstars, and like KVT said earlier, Saturday Night Main Event, and my first pay-per-view, I want to say that I watched, but before that, I would remember going to Blockbuster Video. Shout out to Blockbuster Video. And getting
R.I.P. to Blockbuster Video.
R.I.P. to Blockbuster Video as well. Correct. Thanks Netflix for that.
Yeah.
And the WWE Network, which is now Peacock. Well, that's another story for another time.
Yeah.
Going there and getting the old school pay-per-views, whether it be SummerSlam, Rumble, Mania. I think the first one I saw on tape about WrestleMania, I think it was WrestleMania 7.
Slaughter Hogan.
Which was
that was one
Hogan
of my favorites,
Slaughter.
man.
Yeah.
So I remember watching that pay-per-view on VHS.
So Corey, you were getting these from Blockbuster and stuff?
Blockbuster Video.
You'll awesome. Like this. So Steve, I don't know if you may have heard of this grocery store being from the Northeast, but one of the predominant grocery stores where I grew up and where Corey now lives is Wegmans.
Oh yeah, I know.
And
about
they maybe you do.
I know.
Okay,
yep.
So they maybe had a video section that was maybe 20 feet long and 10.5 feet wide, and maybe
right in the front of the store.
Well, the one that I went to, like, kind of was in the back by the seafood section, right? It was kind of it was like, it went like seafood, videos,
That's a great smell to be walking through the
it was strange.
Who the hell designed that?
But like, honestly, it worked. It wasn't that bad. But why I say that is I used to get the Royal Rumbles there all the time. So that's how I used to watch. After I got the video, I realized I stumbled across that. I went back and I watched 90, the one where they have the cover of them all in the cartoon and Hogan's in the all red outfit or whatever. But yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, going and renting those pay-per-views.
Yep. So I think the first one that I got might have been, like I said, I got WrestleMania 7. Then I think I got the Rumble 91. So I watched both of those. Then obviously, a lot of people would think the greatest Rumble of all time, 92.
Yes, agreed.
I'm with that.
That'll be another topic for another time.
Who wrestled for the title in 92?
No one.
With the Rumble.
30 men did.
The vacant title.
30 men did. Come on.
Pop quiz 93.
Yokozuna.
Yokozuna.
Oh, wait, for the belt?
Yeah.
Hart versus Razor.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yep. Great.
Oye, Chico.
Classic.
Hey, yo. But and then I remember watching that pay-per-view live, leading into WrestleMania 9. But like I said, that's just what got me hooked onto watching wrestling. I think I was very upset when I couldn't watch, and I still to this day can't remember why, WrestleMania 10.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
They did you wrong.
I think that might be honestly the only WrestleMania since I've started watching wrestling that I haven't either seen on tape delay or live.
Man,
From 7 on.
Whoever they is did you wrong with leaving 10 out. 10
my
might
dad.
be 10
my
might
dad.
be one of my favorites of all time.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I've gone back and watched it on the network.
Oh, I know you have. I know you have. But like, even like the build up, because as you guys know, I'll go back and like I'll go back and watch the whole stretch, like try to get the full storyline, connect the dots, type of things.
Yep.
And man, I'm gonna tell you what. When Razor and Michaels were building up for that title match, it was just so cool. Like the little promos, the things that they did to hook me initially, like it just took it to a different level. So yeah, that's awesome. Who were some of your guys' like favorite people when you were growing up, right? Like I don't want to get and I'm not talking favorites, right? I'm talking like people that go underneath the radar when you think back and you're like, oh, remember that guy? Like that guy was awesome, but he's not like your favorite. Does that make sense?
Under the
so
radar
to kind of
guys?
give you an example, I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
So I used to watch WCW Saturday Night, right?
I remember that too. Yep.
Okay.
605 Live on TBS.
Yup. Remember, so like these two people, one of them is an icon now just because of how good he ended up being, but at the time he was still getting his legs. Flying Brian Pillman.
Yeah.
When he was wearing the bangle tights and everything like that, and he was jumping off everything. And another person, the curly ass mullet.
Yep.
Dude, another guy in that same ilk was Scorpio.
Oh, Scorpio.
Too Cold Scorpio.
I loved Scorpio when he would keep coming out with those neon freaking tights and just do the coolest moves. Yeah. And he was a big dude. Like
ahead of his time. Yeah.
Those are two people, right? That like I could go back and be like, you can name off the them's, the that's, you know what I mean? The ones, the twos, the threes. Right. But like those are two people that like maybe like 20 or 25 on your list you don't usually talk about.
Right.
That like just always stuck out to me, and like we're like, oh, that guy was sick, that guy was awesome, but you forget about them because they're not like the best of the best. You know what I mean?
Did they ever put the TV title on Too Cold Scorpio?
I don't know, to be honest with you. I think he became Flash Funk before he could do anything. He became
Flash Funk when he went to WWF.
Yeah, and that was mid-90s.
Who did he team with?
Godfather.
No.
Yeah, he did.
Terry Funk.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Then they.
Okay.
Then he joined the job squad a little later after that.
Yep.
See. So that's the reason why you don't like think about him, right? But like back in like the WCW Saturday Night days when he was doing when he was fighting the Alec Wrights and stuff like, oh shoot, I'm sorry, I might have just stole somebody's, but when they were going against each other and he was doing like the 390s, like the 5.
The Wonder Kid, Alex Wright.
So
who did he become later?
So Corey, who do you got for a couple people like that? Who are two people underneath your radar that you're like, oh, they were awesome?
I got no one. Honestly, I got nobody.
I can't think of under the radar guys, but like second tier guys, like maybe he wasn't one of my favorites, but like second tier for me, like Big Boss Man was like, God,
awesome, yeah.
Right? I mean, obviously he's a superstar, he's a legend, but like he wasn't like Hogan or Savage, right? He was a tier down, but he was so good.
So I got another example for you. Maybe I'm just like the way I worded it, but like a berserker, Berserker was great. You know what I mean?
Berserker,
like,
yep.
Husk, like those type of guys. They're like the
Bushwhackers.
Bushwhackers are good.
Okay, I get the one behind the Bushwhackers.
Bushwhackers are classic.
Anything else, or I'm not reaching on this one, but like I'm talking like those guys. Oh, the Repo Man.
He was Man. Cool. Oh, you just talking.
That was a good jobber.
Good gimmicks. Yeah.
The Mountie.
Mountie, yeah, another good.
He was a champ, though. He was a champ.
He was.
Because he always got his man.
He always got
his man. He's got some good stories out there.
Yeah.
But so that's just kind of like, I think that kind of, unless anybody got anything else to add, I think that kind of wraps what we're doing here. You got anything else you wanted to add, Stevie Scales?
So I got so sidetracked talking about all my toys. I didn't mention like my first vivid memory, actual like pay-per-view or show as a kid. And that was WrestleMania 6, Hogan Warrior. I remember going to, we called him Uncle Fatso, but he was like one of my dad's good friends. And he had the cheater box before we did. So I think, or maybe he bought the pay-per-view. Who knows? Maybe I'm not giving him enough credit. But anyway, we went to his house.
Right.
Yeah, the feds are coming for me after this podcast airs.
El Cheapo to El Fatso.
I think Vince is tapped into our podcast.
Yeah, right. I'm in trouble.
He's going to be collecting the $200 that you stole from the 8 pay-per-views.
Damn it.
25 from
$24.99.
Yeah, it was so many. But anyway, yeah. So like Hogan and Warrior, that was my first vivid memory as a kid. And that's my first pay-per-view memory as a kid. And that was just like. That was like the pinnacle as a child, like Hogan Warrior, man. That was like 2 comic book mega heroes going at it, title for title. Like you couldn't get any better than that. That was so cool as a kid.
Can you tell me another match on that card?
WrestleMania 6? Mm-hmm. How about Savage and Sherry versus Dusty and Sapphire?
You like that match?
I don't know. That's the first one that came to my head because I'm a savage. I'm a savage.
Okay,
I'm a savage
that's the first one that came to your mind. I think that's kind of making my point.
I can't remember any other matches other than Hogan and Warrior.
Is that the one where Sapphire did not come out because of Ted DiBiase buying her off?
No, she was there. You're
thinking SummerSlam.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. It might have been SummerSlam. What else? I don't even remember what the hell else was on WrestleMania 6. How about I think Andre and Haku.
Yeah, I know that. I remember that tag team match.
Versus Demolition, maybe.
That or Barbarian and Barbarian would have been with Haku. So yeah.
I think it was. I think that was maybe a tag title match. But I mean, it was all about.
Fassman, can we get a check? Can we get a check on that, Fassman?
You want the card from WrestleMania 6?
Yeah, let's get the card up real quick since we seem to be struggling.
I feel like
while we're going over this, who here, Steve, stunning one. Have you ever been to a pay-per-view?
Yes, I've been to 2.
What was your first ever pay-per-view?
So before you read the card off, I just thought of Blue Blazer versus Mr. Perfect. I think was the opener on WrestleMania 6.
Oh,
but anyway,
okay. Was that a good match?
I mean, it was Owen Hart versus freaking Kurt Hennig. Of course, it's going to be amazing. Yeah. My first pay-per-view, so it didn't come till late 2011. I went to Survivor Series at Madison Square Garden, which was awesome. Any pay-per-view in the Garden is sick.
That
was Cena and The Rock.
Cena and The
tag
Rock
team, yeah.
Against
Awesome Truth.
Yep, against The Miz and Truth.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was a good little run there.
Yeah.
That was a good run. So, Corey, what do we got for the pay-per-view?
Yep. So, the first match on the card was Paul Roma defeating the Brooklyn Brawler. That was a dark match.
Yeah.
Paul Roma.
The first match on the actual show was the Model beating Coco Beware.
Good.
Then you had Demolition, Axe and Smash, not Crush.
Yeah.
Defeating the Colossal Collection, Andre and Haku.
Yeah.
Then you had Earthquake.
Was Heenan in their corner?
Yeah, yes. Yeah, and that's when Andre turned on Heenan. He turned baby.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's what I was just about
After
to
the
ask.
match, I remember that.
Yeah.
Yep, and then Earthquake. Yep, Earthquake with Jimmy Hart defeated Hercules.
Nice.
Brutus defeated Mr. Perfect.
Oh, I had to. Okay.
Who was Mr. Perfect's manager at the time?
Is it the Genius?
Yep.
Yeah.
I can't get one by this guy.
Yeah.
Dude, I told you I told you the Fassman might not be the quickest draw on the show.
I
don't
didn't know that, but I didn't think he'd be that fast to answer the question. Holy
Yeah.
All right,
smokes.
next one.
Bad News Brown versus Piper. Was there a winner in that match?
Oh yeah, I know that. I remember that one.
That one's probably not politically correct these days. Piper came out.
Yeah, and how about Piper?
Oh,
how about Andre the Giant taking out the formula that would remove the paint from him? He dumped it out and put water in it. You remember that story? And he had to go through all the airport and everything, half painted, half not.
Oh
Hilarious. What did he say? A big stuffed animal or a big stuffed Mickey Mouse because his daughter loved Mickey Mouse and stuff.
Freaking Piper.
So yeah, that was great.
So the next match, this was a classic. Well, actually, this wasn't a classic. It was fast. The Hart Foundation versus the Bolsheviks. I
think the Hart Foundation lost, didn't they?
What?
Did the Hart Foundation lose that? Or did
No, they won.
Okay.
They won in 19 seconds.
Oh, nice. Good.
Then the next match was the Barbarian with Bobby Heenan beating
I knew he was on
El Matador, Ole, Tito Santana.
Big Tito guy.
And then that's an underrated guy right there.
Yeah.
Then you had Dusty and Sapphire with Miss Elizabeth.
Yep.
Surprisingly,
Yep.
defeated Randy Macho King and Queen Sherry.
Yep.
Then you had the Orient Express. If you know who were the Orient Express, then I quit.
Sato and Tanaka.
I give up.
Dude.
I'm done.
I knew that one.
I didn't think he'd. I think
Kyle's a big Orient Express guy.
He's good. You are good, sir. Defeated the Rockers.
Oh.
Defeated by countout. If you remember that, I think
That was actually a
match
good
correctly.
It was long.
It was semi-long. It was over 7 minutes. If I remember correctly, didn't Jannetty get hurt or Shawn Michaels get hurt in that match?
That sounds familiar. I can't remember.
You mean
right.
who was selling and then
got
the hot tag?
Legit hurt or
no? Like
I'm pretty sure
couldn't get back in the ring.
I'm pretty sure Jannetty got the hot tag, and Michaels sold.
Yeah,
that sounds.
And it was something. Then you had Jim Duggan versus Dino Bravo.
Oh.
Yeah.
Then you had Ted DiBiase with Virgil defeating Jake Roberts by countout.
Oh,
that was for your $250 belt. Then you had this had a lot of matches on this card. Holy crap. Then you had the Big Boss Man defeating Akeem.
The American Dream.
The African Dream.
Yep. And then you had Rick Rude defeating Jimmy Snuka.
Wow.
And then
3 minutes. And then the main event.
4. And then you had Warrior beating Hogan.
I think that was a good way to just kind of introduce us, like kind of like give them a thought of who we are and what we're trying to do. Them being maybe the 1-2 people out there that may listen to this show. Like everybody out there, maybe the 1 or 2, maybe the 3 of us, not everybody else.
We're gonna go viral, man. Who are you kidding?
Yeah, but that's just kind of like where I come from and where the 2 of us kind of come from. The other 2, the Stevie Scales and the Fassman come from. So now I think what we're going to do next is we're going to go and kind of list off our top 3 draft choices for childhood favorite wrestlers. Steve, I'm going to kind of let you give a little bit more detail about what's going to be going on this. So help us out.
Yeah. So instead of just doing like a normal list or top 10 or whatever, I wanted to put my own spin on it. And I recently did this on my buddy's podcast. Shout out to Mike and Sid for letting me.
Good show.
Give this
it was a good show.
Yeah, hate to see it. Great podcast. They let me try this out on their show a couple weeks ago for a WrestleMania preview. But I know
what kind of gave us the
they lit the fire
too. Yeah, absolutely.
So I know I'm a huge fantasy sports fan. You guys are too. So in my mind, I'm trying to always meld wrestling and fantasy sports together as two of my passions. So when thinking of how to do a list or ranking, why not do a snake draft? We're gonna snake it. I'll start first, and we'll go to KVT and the Fassman.
Fassman, get it right.
And we're gonna snake around and give our draft picks. this week we're just going to do, because of our topic, growing up, how did we become fans? We're going to do our favorite childhood superstars. So I guess I'll lead us off. I'm gonna have the number one draft choice here.
Oh God, the fix is in.
Yeah, the fix
which one
is
of the three? Which one of the three dolls is he going to first?
Those are definitely in my list here to pick from. For me, I'm gonna go with the Hulkster as the number one pick. The Hulkster, he was the man for me as a kid. He was the biggest star in the company. He put wrestling on the national stage. There was nobody better than him at that time. Not the greatest technician or wrestler. I think we can all agree on that. But this guy had the charisma. He had the body. He had the entrance, the music. He could cut a
I will
promo.
say this. Sorry to cut in on this. Hogan, I just learned this recently. Maybe when I say recently, within the last 10 years. If you can pull up some Japanese matches,
yeah, you're right.
You can work a little bit when he was younger.
You're right.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to say
no,
I
you're
just
fine.
learned this about 10 years.
I think in the WWF they probably restricted him based on the type of character that he was.
Absolutely.
He doesn't need. You said
don't need to do all that.
A few weeks ago from a match that he had in Japan where he did he was doing these moves I'd never seen him do in my life. I was like, there's a reason why he didn't do them in WWF because they didn't want him to, because he could have done it.
He didn't have to, because like you said, his character.
Right.
Sorry, but go ahead.
No, you're fine. But the Hulkster, that's the number one pick of this draft for me.
Okay.
We'll go over to you. What are you at now? $300 champ? Are you going down?
Hey, you gave me $50 back. I like it. It's because I agree. It's because I agreed with your Hogan pick. All right. Me. So I gotta say, obviously, based off the little story that I gave earlier, Hogan was very, very instrumental about me getting locked in. Like, I bought into what the whole, as Bruce Pritchard would say, I was part of the Hogan must what's he say? Hogan must pose fan club. Like, I was there cheering for him so he could pose at the end, right? But if I really look at it and I'm sitting here and I have to be greedy on who I'm picking, right? Because this is my top draft pick. I gotta do it to you guys. Like, I have to stay Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Okay.
This guy, right? Like, and I'm gonna get a little bit not too personal, but a little personal here. Like, this guy was basically everything you want to be. Like, I look back on it now as an adult. I look at it as like, this guy was everything I ever thought he was as a character. You know what I mean? Like, He's the guy that's just like, you want to buck all authority. You just want to tell them, just leave me alone. Like, I don't care what you have to say right now. Like, when I was when Austin hit his peak, right?
Yeah. How old are you?
I was like 9-10 years old. So like in 98, I was 10 years old, right? So that was like a top Austin. Him and McMahon. I think he just stunned McMahon in like late 97. So like, it was full board of him coming down with the beer truck, taking the Zamboni. And I had just lost my dad too, right? So you got like this angry guy on TV doing whatever he wanted to do to whoever he wanted to do it to. I was to the fullest extent vicariously living through this guy who, I'm not drinking beer. I was 10, but I was still like, I was still having like the FU moments. Like, I just want to tell somebody to go fuck off. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like, cause I'm so angry because I don't know what's going on. I don't know how to release it. It's like, but like, that character came along at the point of like, I'm there because of my second favorite of all time character drew me in big time in the early 90s. And I won't say his name just to try to keep him on the board. He drew me in, but with Austin, it was just something else. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Like, if you look, and it was so quick too, you know? You go from him to him with the Ministry, him with The Rock, him with McMahon, him with his little segments with Mankind to get to The Rock. Like, all those cool little things. I think they had the first blood match with Kane.
Yeah.
That was so sick.
Yeah.
Like I could just go on and on and on. And he came in as the ringmaster.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he bulldozed his way. Like quite honestly, I liked him as the ringmaster. I thought he was cool. Like I thought like the whole thing, but like I didn't get it at the time either.
No.
But like to wrap it up, I'm gonna say Austin was like just everything about him. It still gets me fired up to this day.
Yeah.
Like watching that documentary, I was like, yeah,
that's good.
why I fucking love that guy.
Is he your all-time favorite, regardless of childhood or adulthood?
Like it would be like nip and tuck, man. I don't know which way I would go with the other one.
All right.
That would be if the other one's really.
Austin's my all-time guy, but he wasn't in my childhood. That's why I didn't pick him in case people start yelling at me.
No, Austin was in like the Bret Hart matches, man. Like, come on, dude. Like, one was
WrestleMania 13,
Survivor Series 97.
96.
I think that's when it all 96 when it all started.
Yep.
Like I was 8. That was like when I was a Hart guy. Then I got introduced to Austin. You know, it's like, oh, you know. So,
all right.
I'm gonna take Austin.
Nice, good pick.
Okay, I respect
Fassman.
that. Okay,
you got 2 in a row here, buddy. Make them count.
Yep, and I got the snake part of the draft now.
Yep.
And no, that does not mean
it goes to the right person.
And no, that does not mean I'm taking Randy Orton as one of my picks.
Oh.
If we're in a snake draft. All right.
I would say Jake the Snake.
Yeah.
No, he's not. He's not even in my top 6.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Tough crowd.
I'd say with my first pick, I mean, I got a lot on my plate here that I could go with. I would have to probably say The Undertaker.
Nice.
The Undertaker as my first pick. Obviously, spanning basically almost 4 different decades of wrestling in the WWF, WWE.
Real quick though, we're looking for childhood.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
I know.
When did you start?
Started in 91.
Okay, never mind. I'll be quiet. I'll fall back.
Yeah. You just lost that $50. Now you're back to $250.
Back to $250, champ.
Yep.
It's gonna become a necklace in a minute.
I remember watching him on Monday Night Raw when it first started live. Superstars. Every once in a while, they would actually have a good match that they would actually show instead of just a main heel or face versus a jobber. But it was just that character that he had. It's like at the time he was a heel, obviously, and it was just like. Then in 92, 93, starting that with Yokozuna.
Yep.
And just nothing more you can say about The Undertaker. So that's number 1.
I know, it's the Taker, right?
It's the Taker.
You could have just said I'm taking The Undertaker, and then I'm taking.
Then enough. I could have just ended there. And the other one is in the top right corner of your poster there, Kyle.
Oh, nice.
The Warrior.
Nice.
No, top right corner.
Other way.
Is the right to me.
No, that is the right.
No, to your right. So my 2 picks are The Undertaker and the Ultimate Warrior. Sorry, I tried doing my Vince McMahon announcing voice. It didn't go over well.
Needs to be a little more guttural from the gut.
So now with the 5th pick in the 2021 fantasy WWF childhood draft, KVT.
We got KVT.
Give me 1 second. I'll be right back.
Okay.
The person I was referencing without trying to say their name is going to be my second pick, and that is Razor Ramon.
Okay.
No, not Scott Hall.
Nope, I got you.
Razor Ramon.
Oh yeah, me Chico.
So this guy, I don't know. I don't know what it is about him. Like I can't even like articulate it like I did Austin. It's just it's kind of like it's kind of like what you make. Like we were saying earlier, Steve, to your point of superhero-esque, right?
Yeah.
But he didn't like. So he's a big dude, but he didn't look like outrageously big.
Right.
He looks strong, right? So it's kind of like it was the mystique about him. It was just kind of like his aura. I was like, oh, this guy just kind of does. And again, I think this like shows you kind of like where I was as a child. Like when I was watching, it's kind of like, oh, this dude just kind of does what he wants. You know what I mean? He says what he wants. Like, something happened to this gold, something's gonna happen to you. You know what I mean? Like just like the bad, like I was all about the cool bad guy. You know what I mean? Like, and I feel like I just kind of like fit in with a lot of like boys at that age. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when kids my age that were boys, like watching that, like just the cool swagger, just kind of like. Like, oye, me chico, cámate y cállate. You know what I mean? Like, in my horrible Spanish. But just like, and then just like throwing the toothpick in people's faces. And I mean, it's all like a lot of it's just all about what you can say on the mic. And like as again, as I refer back to two people a lot, you guys will see Jimmy Cornette or Bruce Pritchard. And as Bruce Pritchard said, it says a lot. He wasn't one of those people that when the bell rang, it all stopped. It kept going with Scott Hall in the ring. You know what I mean?
Razor Ramon.
Razor Ramon. Sorry. Thank you for that correction. Those punches hit you with the two, boom, boom, then spin to the discus punch. And then he would do it what he calls the sack of shit because of what he did to Ron Simmons one day, aka Farouk. He goes, hey man, what was that? He goes, what? He goes, he was doing like a sack of shit. That's one of my favorite stories.
And his punches were crisp too.
Yeah, and then I'll just finish out with this real quick. So Steve, you can make your pick next here. The Razor's Edge, man.
Yeah.
Come on.
So good.
And he literally did it to everybody. There's matches where he did it to people that were close to $3 bills. So as they say, you got to be able to do it to everybody. The guy could do it to pretty much everyone, and it was the coolest looking move, man.
Yeah, it was so new and different. Like maybe it was in Japan or something. I had never seen it before as a kid.
Never saw it. Never saw it. It was so cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, my two are Austin and Razor.
All right.
I was so, and then just a little side note, so disappointed by that WrestleMania. Like that WrestleMania when they got up together. Wow. What, Corey, you were at that one.
18.
In the Sky Dome. 18?
18?
Yeah.
Oh, with Hall and Austin?
Yeah, that was such a disappointment.
Yeah.
Anyways,
I mean, it wasn't a bad match. It wasn't a bad match.
Yeah.
It wasn't a bad match, but
Hall wasn't himself at that point. He was done.
Well, yeah.
Basically.
I mean,
yeah.
Whether he's back being an alcoholic or not, who knows?
Right.
Yeah, let's not talk about him like that, then. Steve.
Yeah.
Steve, you got the number 6 pick in your little snake
6 and 7.
Yeah.
His final 2 picks.
My final 2. So I'm so happy that these 2 guys are still on the board because they round out my top 3 ranking. So my second round pick. So after Hogan, I grew up as a Hogan fan, and then I kind of molded into this guy. I was a huge Bret the Hitman Hart fan.
Me too.
I'd be one of them.
Yeah.
Me too. How could you not be?
The Hitman was so cool. And he was so different than everything before. I mean, a lot different than Hogan, right? Savage, maybe a little similar. But Bret Hart could work, man. He could outwork anybody. He was such a technician. Everything was so believable that he did. Like his punches, to take in the turnbuckle on the Irish whip was so sick every time. It was like, holy shit. It's like, all right.
The chest to the turnbuckle.
Yeah, dude. So
brutal. Gosh, yeah.
So brutal. Like
that made I would feel that watching it on TV.
It was just so believable. The sharpshooter. I mean, you can't say enough about that as a finisher.
He could put it on anybody.
Can put it on anybody. Put it on Yoko a few times. I mean, he could put it on anybody, right? Good stories, Bret and Owen. Bret and Shawn was kind of later. I'm going to stick to early 90s, like Bret and Owen, Bret and Razor, Bret and Lawler for a little bit there.
I remember that.
Many good stories.
Kiss My Foot match.
Kiss My Foot match, yeah, so classic.
How did that program start?
Making fun of his parents.
That was always part of it, but it was King of the Ring '93.
Bingo.
Yeah, Brett won the King of the Ring right after he lost.
Oh yeah,
the title.
he stole the
Yeah.
But still, the next Monday Night Raw is where it really got fired up because he went up. I'm sorry not to jump in here, but that was that's a good Raw. He went right up at the Manhattan Center. They were sitting front row, top shelf, and he went right up during the middle of the match, and he just talking shit to him the whole entire time. And I think Brett was fighting Bam Bam too, if I'm not mistaken.
Was. Yeah, a rematch in the finals.
But yeah, sorry, that was just classic.
No, it was always good, and that's part of what made Brett even more believable. His parents were like always there at like his big matches, which was so cool to me. Like you didn't see that ever. Like this dude's parents want to watch him in this match. How cool is that, right? Yep. But yeah, that's my second pick, the Hitman, Pink and Black Attack.
Nice.
My final pick on the way back around the snake, Macho Man Randy Savage.
Okay.
You know, him and Hogan were always neck and neck there, you know, in that late 80s, early 90s for me. Whether they were, you know, they were teammates, you know, Mega Powers, and they were enemies. Mega Powers explode, WrestleMania 5.
Yep.
But Savage was so good. He can promo with it. I mean, some of his promos are some of the best, right? So good on the mic. His wrestling skills so good. Maybe even ahead of his time. He was a bit of a high flyer in that time frame. But he was just so good. And you had Miss Elizabeth with him. It was like, I don't know if she was the first valet, but the first one that made a huge impact in wrestling, right? Part of his package there was so good.
First one in the WWF.
Yeah, for sure, right? Because I don't remember this as a kid, but remember going back and watching it, like all the managers at the time were like in the running to be his manager, right? They're all vying for his services. Freddie Blassie and Heenan and all those Slick and all those guys, right? And then he ended up bringing in Miss Elizabeth, which was cool. Macho Man. I mean, there's not much you can say. I mean, when I hate to talk about it, but when he passed away in 2011, that hit me hard. It was so.
I know exactly where I was. Where I was.
Me too.
I was playing catch in the backyard of my buddy's apartment in Victor, New York, dude. And I got a text message. Somebody goes, "Yo, the Macho Man just died." I go, "What? No way. He was fine." I go, "What? How? A heart attack or something? Taking steroids?" And they go, "Yeah, actually." And I go, they go, "Yeah, but he was driving his car while he had it."
Yeah, so brutal. And it still makes me so sad that he had to go like that. He had to go at all. I mean, and the most sad thing is that right before he died, he had just shot a commercial for like a WWE video game. So he was getting back in bed with WWE. So who knows? We would have maybe got to see him inducted into the Hall of Fame. Maybe he would have came back on Raw. I mean, who knows what could have happened? So it sucks. But regardless, he's in my top 3 for sure of my all-time favorites, childhood or not. Definitely childhood though.
So we got Steve rounding that out with Hulk, Brett, and Macho. I'm at Austin Razor. Corey's at Taker, Ultimate Warrior.
Last pick, buddy. Make it count.
I'm in like a really tough spot here, right? So I'm looking at a list that I have here. I am going to take my allegiance to this and toss it out the window.
Oh,
wow.
So he's not in the running anymore. So now we're down to 2. We're down to Jake the Snake Roberts, or we're down to Mr. Perfect.
Tough pick.
And I'm gonna tell you where the line was drawn, right? So, Mr. Perfect, you think of everything iconic about Mr. Perfect when it comes to in the ring. This guy walking to the ring, spitting his gum, tossing it, doing the whole freaking thing with his towel. Evan has the cool moves, has all this stuff. You know, got the look. Dude, the tights were sick, dude. Like you didn't see a lot of people rocking the singlets with blonde hair, right? But that's all good and well. But man, oh man, Jake the Snake Roberts is gonna round out my third as a childhood, and I'm gonna tell you why. It goes back to those days where I was sitting at Superstars or sitting watching Superstars, and they would show. No, it wasn't Superstars. Maybe this was like they would show. Maybe it was something else. But anyways, he would get the mic. He would get on the mic, right? And he would do his. He would hold his little sessions where he's kind of just talking to people. And the way that he would like hold his promos and everything like that. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Just talk really low, spin the wheel, make the deal, those type of things. But what really sold me was the fear I got when he took your number 3 pick and locked him up in the ropes.
Oh God!
And took out the Cobra. Man, that was maybe what, 93, right?
I think so. Yeah, might have been maybe a little earlier.
I'm 5 years. No, it was about
93.
I'm pretty sure it was 93. But like this is like first memories type things, right? It wasn't like the actual story when it was actually happening.
Yep.
But it's like when they would show the highlights of it. You know what I mean? Like those type of things. You would see that. You'd hear him talk. You see the guy with the cool reptile, the cool snake.
Yep.
Like had the DDT. And I've always been behind somebody that can talk. Like talking's one of my favorites. And that's where Jake the Snake kind of comes in. He's like the wild card. Plays the mind games. Why, he's the inventor of the DDT. He's the snake. I just can't I can't really.
DDT was so over, man. That was like probably the most over finisher at that time.
And like if you think about it, what that move actually could do to somebody if they did it right. Like, what's his name? Ricky the Steamboat.
Ricky Dragon.
He had a contusion, or not a contusion, a thing this big on his forehead. But yeah,
it's legit. It's legit.
Jake the Snake rounds out my number 3.
Nice. Good list. Fassman.
So Corey, we're gonna throw it over to you for your number 3 pick here. Who is your number 3 pick, Corey?
My number 3 pick is the real world champion.
And
I say this with a little tear in my eye.
Nice.
This is the greatest moment of my life.
The Nature Boy.
The Nature Boy. Styling. Woo! Profiling. Woo!
Why'd you go with the Nature?
Because you stole because it was either him or DiBiase. I was originally going to go with DiBiase because of how he had the flair, no pun intended, for being the ultimate heel and being the guy that you get your hopes up and you dash him in a second.
Is this Flair?
No, that's DiBiase.
So you picked DiBiase?
No, I picked Flair.
Yeah, he's telling you why.
I'm getting to that. I'm getting to Flair in a second. I'm telling you why I went with Flair over DiBiase.
Gotcha.
So I'm going with I'm giving you my reasoning for why I thought of DiBiase.
You better talk right about my boy, bro.
So, I mean, he was the perfect man for having a belt like that. He had the flair, he had the charisma for it. But I went with Flair because he could give the ultimate promo, had all the skills in the ring. He was just the man. Flair was the man. Flair is the man.
Fair to Flair.
Yeah,
Flair. That's not fair to Flair. I gotta say, I'm a big Ric Flair fan. Like I love Ric Flair.
Yep.
He's the best. And
who's playing that? You or me?
And with Heenan, that him and Heenan were great
duo.
together.
Yeah, perfect.
But so yeah, the You want me to give a little rundown of the list one more time, and we can kind of maybe
Wrap it
fantasy book who we think's gonna win?
Yeah, triple threat triangle match.
Yeah, for the stunning Steves, for the stunning Stevies, we got Hulk, Brett, and Macho. For the Fassmans, we got Taker, Ultimate Warrior, and Ric Flair.
Wow.
And for the $99 champ at the end of this episode, we got Austin, Razor, and Jake. It'll be kind of tough, but you know what's going to ultimately happen. We all grew up in the Northeast. We know what happens. Hogan must pose.
Hogan must pose.
Stunning Steve's probably win via disqualification because Austin needs to save face.
Yeah, Hogan's not taking a job for anybody.
Nope. But the only person that could do it would be Taker.
Taker, yeah.
We're not letting Corey's team win. So we're gonna go with the first fantasy buck going to Steve, the stunning Steves.
Nice.
Via disqualification by Austin, while Taker's off with Macho Man doing something weird in the corner. But anyways, so that was fun. Hopefully we did a good job. Not too rocky, not too all over the place when it comes to the first episode.
I thought we did good.
Yeah, it was
next
fun.
episode. Yeah, I agree with you. Next episode, I think that we decided that we're gonna have our main topic be on favorite finishers of the 90s.
Okay.
Corey can kind of come along with another today's history of wrestling.
I liked how you did that. Yeah, do that.
Yeah, I like that too.
Okay.
Feel free to go back a little bit further if you need to find something even cooler. I'm all about wrestling
back as far as I can.
And then once we do that, Steve, why don't you? I know we discussed a little bit earlier. What was the topic that you kind of had in mind when it came to
our fantasy draft?
The fantasy draft for next week.
Yeah. So since our topic is going to be our favorite finishers of the 90s, we're going to put a little different spin on that for the draft and do our favorite moment of a finisher from the 90s.
Okay.
So like a finisher from a certain match or a certain moment. Your favorite stunner was
Does it have to be one that actually ended the match?
No,
or can it
no.
be like when the finishing move was
executed?
It
doesn't even have to be in the match. I mean, it could be Austin stunning McMahon, right? That may be something.
Oh, yeah. Right. Okay.
So, doesn't have to be a match.
Okay. Didn't even think about that.
Yep.
So that sounds good. I'm excited about that. Again, hopefully everybody the handful, maybe the 3 or 4 at most, of you guys out there that watch this, enjoyed it, gave us a shot, and we'll try to get better next week. And until then, everybody take care.
Too sweet.
Oh, hell yeah.
All right, everybody. Take care.
Yeah. Bye-bye.